It's KFI AM 640, and you're listening to The Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app.
Mark Thompson in for Conway, who returns next week. We've got Crozier. Lindsay's been amazing today producing.
Hustling.
Really hustling.
She's killing it.
Seriously. She really is. I'll tell you what, I'm so very impressed. And Angel, of course, watching all things traffic related. I will say that I was going to do this story about what happened on the Metro. I mean, there was a Metro bus stabbing, and this 50-something-year-old guy, I believe, was wounded with a stab wound to the neck. And the suspect in the stabbing was on a Metro bus, and by the time the cops got there, the suspect had fled. So I kind of thought, well, you know, probably not going to catch the guy who... They've made an arrest. A 70-year-old man has been arrested. I don't have a lot of the details, but the cops described the suspect as a 70-year-old man with a knee brace. They must have, I guess, looked at closed-circuit stuff or worked from witness accounts. But somehow, I mean, it happened in the afternoon. I mean, it happened in broad daylight, a little after 2 o'clock. Man, when I'm 70, I think my stabbing days are going to be way done. Like, I'm just not, I can't imagine that level of derangement. But this is the problem. You know, on Metro buses, people just don't feel safe. And incidents like this don't help. Anyway, it's great that the cops made an arrest. I'm really impressed because, as I say, once the suspect runs, I didn't know how they would catch up to the suspect, but they did. An arrest has been made. On the other side of town, Matthew Perry, this case, bizarre, sad, and extensive. One of the doctors and one of the key people involved is this Dr. Mark Chavez from San Diego. Well, he was in court.
He is now one of 3 people who have agreed to plead guilty to try and help the government unravel what led up to actor Matthew Perry's death.
Mark Chavez is doing everything he can to cooperate with the government.
He's guilty, and he's remorseful.
What is he accepting responsibility for?
Conspiracy to distribute ketamine.
54-year-old Dr. Mark Chavez, that's him in the blue shirt and glasses, arraigned in L.A. federal court today in connection with the ketamine overdose death of actor Matthew Perry.
We're incredibly sorry that someone lost their life. It doesn't matter that he was a famous celebrity, and I know that he was incredibly universally loved by all, and it's a shame at what happened here, but he's incredibly remorseful that at the end of the day, someone who was trying to seek treatment died.
Yeah, I mean, the reality is, though, that Chavez was just one link in this chain of people who were taking advantage of a guy who had a serious addiction, right? Matthew Perry, desperate for this ketamine stuff, and those around Matthew Perry were desperate to take advantage of Matthew Perry and his fortune. So you saw the numbers. He was paying literally $11,000 to get ketamine that cost them less than $200. Not to mention this addiction that would kill him. But the surrounding constellation of characters is filled with people who are all predatory, really, taking advantage of him.
His defense attorney says Chavez is cooperating with federal investigators and has admitted that he created false prescriptions to get the ketamine supplied to Perry.
My client is accepting responsibility. He is doing everything in his power to cooperate, to help in this situation.
Chavez has agreed to plead guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to distribute ketamine and help federal prosecutors as they now focus on Jasveen Sanghai, nicknamed the Ketamine Queen, and Dr. Salvador Plasencia, who is charged with illegally selling ketamine to Perry.
And as I was telling you the other day, she is like the rock star of drugs. You know, partying with celebrities. She was, I think, a very high profile, kind of one of those Instagram type partiers, living life out loud, her big bang in life. And it was being fueled by this, essentially this torrent of illegal drugs that she was supplying to a lot of people. So she became a distributor of all of this stuff that ended up in part being the stuff that killed Matthew Perry.
At one point, mocking Perry in a text saying, "I wonder how much this moron will pay."
There are other defendants in this case that have not entered into a guilty plea. So since the case is ongoing, it wouldn't be appropriate for myself or my client to make any statements about the case.
As part of his plea agreement, Chavez will surrender his medical license and still could face up to 10 years in federal prison. All right, the next step for Chavez, he will be back in federal court to formally plead guilty to the charge, but so far no date has been set for that.
So again, after 10 years, after a guilty plea, he could get 10 years. So even with his deal, this is a pretty serious and steep incarceration term that he's looking at. And he's just really one part of this all. So, as mentioned in that piece, Dr. Salvador Plasencia and this Jasveen Sangha. And those pleas are in, and they're not guilty pleas. They're going to trial. So, Perry, the sad victim of a situation that involved ketamine. And ketamine, I guess, is prescribed and is legally used as a treatment for depression. It's increasingly common, apparently. But with an addict, as Perry was, they had essentially someone who was wealthy and had a limitless appetite for this stuff. Really sad. I wonder how much this moron will pay. I can't believe she said that. You know, I mean, it just so speaks to the predatory nature of the whole thing. Anyway, this guy who was a high-profile, beloved actor, struggled with addiction for years, ultimately succumbed to that addiction, and now the route back to all the people who are involved is an extensive one. It's a really extensive one. Leah Remini has made her divorce official. She and her husband splitting after 21 years of marriage. She's 54 years old. She filed for divorce from her entrepreneur husband. Irreconcilable differences.
So how long were they married?
21 years.
So that was during the period when she was in the whole Scientology thing.
Oh, my
right?
God. Yes, he has to be a Scientology. He had to be in the church, as they call it.
Yeah, because she was there as a kid.
Oh, she grew up in the church? Is that what you mean?
She did a whole documentary about it. Like, so just real quick. So when I was trying to get into the industry, I actually tried to get a job as an assistant to the agent who represented her. Oh. And she would tell me how everyone, when King of Queens took off, like by the second or third season, everyone was going to the Bahamas and traveling, and she would go home and do homework for Scientology.
Oof.
Wow.
Yeah, it was insane.
I was approached to take a part in a movie about L. Ron Hubbard because apparently I looked just like him when he was younger.
No kidding.
Yeah,
oh, wow.
I was in
very odd brag, but I like it.
Yeah, I went down to their main Church of Scientology building in Hollywood, and I was in the lobby, and I had more than a couple people. As I was sitting in the waiting room or whatever to go back, a couple people would walk by me, stop, and then back up and look at me again. And I was like, why are people looking at me like this? And I go into the room, and they explain to me, oh, we're making this sort of biography about L. Ron, and they pull out this gigantic book. And they leaf it open, and they show me this picture of him like on a boat with like a captain's hat from like Gilligan's Island, and it looked just like me.
Wow.
Yeah, very creepy.
Look at you.
Did
LRH.
not get the part, by the way.
Oh, you did not. You did not get it.
Did L. Ron wear the mesh tank tops and cut off shorts also?
Okay.
It was very sailor themed. So yes,
he was a sailor, I think.
I believe so.
He's got that whole.
Nautical?
Sea Org, the best part of Scientology. They've got a part of it's a division of Scientology is Sea Org. You go there and you pledge working with the Sea Org people for, I think it's 1 million years, literally. Yeah, they like those over-the-top contracts, I get, apparently. But that's wild, isn't it? Yeah, so he had to be in it. I don't know if he fell out of it at the same time she did, but Leah Remini obviously has made another name for herself now, really exposing Scientology is what she would say. And that's an award-winning documentary series she did on A&E. I believe it's on A&E.
I think so, and I think you can watch it on Hulu.
Oh, Hulu, okay.
I think so.
Anyway, she's splitting with her husband. And so that makes news.
So she's got a new name, Available.
Oh, yeah. Look at you, Mr. LRH lookalike. Maybe you want to give her a call.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. On Demand from KFI AM 640.
Labor Day weekend. I know you'll be traveling. I just mentioned a major thoroughfare. I mean, this is just one we're up and down all the time, and that is PCH. You know, the thing about PCH around Malibu, and just generally, but this is particularly taking place around Malibu, the deaths of those kids, 4 kids, it was an inflection moment. And, you know, PCH in Malibu is plagued by problems and talked about as having all of these issues, right? And then there are these inflection moments, like that one incident where 4 Pepperdine students were killed last year, and that brings to a head a lot of these things that are talked about all the time. The danger of PCH, people drive too fast, there are a lot of intoxicated drivers on PCH. I mean, after all, people are stopping at restaurants and various, after a day at the beach even, you may run into drivers who've had a couple of pops. In any case, they put up center divider. You know how the changes, if you've lived in Southern California for any length of time, those changes on PCH are all designed to handle what is an ongoing feeling among Malibu residents that PCH is more dangerous than it should be. So now a bill to put speed cameras on PCH is out of the California legislature and now on the desk of Gavin Newsom. The bill was written in the wake of that deadly crash. It was they call it Dead Man's Curve there, a stretch of road there in Malibu on PCH, and 4 pedestrians, they were students at Pepperdine, hit and killed by a speeding driver. The driver was a 22-year-old kid. And he was arrested and later charged. Anyway, these deaths led to calls from Malibu residents and those who were loved ones of those 4 who passed away to increase safety measures on the stretch of highway. So those speed cameras, it's hoped, will help just reduce the danger. 5 cameras are going to be placed along a 21-mile stretch of PCH. They'll go up in strategic locations that have been identified as high risk, those that have had historically the highest incidence of speed-related accidents and fatalities. And supporters of this camera system hope that it'll deter speeding and reduce traffic. You know, people already drive, and I know this because I used to live there in Malibu. And I used to always say to people who are leaving my place, it's not 55. That's not the PCH speed limit. It's 45. But, and it depends exactly where you are on PCH, but in Malibu, it's 45 for the most part. And speed cameras in other areas have helped to reduce fatalities. So when you look at data from other areas, cameras that are in spots that have a high incidence of fatalities do help reduce collisions and those fatalities. It's a big move. It's passed the legislature, as I say, and it will go to Gavin Newsom's desk and will likely be signed. It's, I think, one of the most beautiful drives in all of America along PCH looking out onto the Pacific Ocean. It's spectacular. And, you know, if you've lived here a long time, you can take it for granted. You know, you've heard Tim and I go around on this thing because he grew up here and I grew up dreaming to live here. And there's just a sense that, and I think Tim would also recognize how great the ocean is and all the rest. But when we talk about problems, I'm more prone to tell you, yeah, but even with our problems, it's a pretty terrific place to live. And Tim is, I think, in general, like, yeah, but we got to solve these problems, which I agree to as well. I'm just saying you may lose track if you've been here a long time of how great it is to live here. So on PCH, you're taking this magnificent ride down a spectacular piece of road where you're looking out on one of the great vistas that's constantly changing with the ocean and the sun and the moon that's reflected off the water. And you can lose track of also how dangerous it is. So I'm hoping that with these speed cameras going up in Malibu, it can become a little bit safer. So many people want it to be that gorgeous piece of road without, or at least reducing the danger if you can't eliminate it. When we come back, I can't believe this. Langer's Deli has been in the news. Langer's Deli has been in the news for a lot of reasons associated with crime and MacArthur Park and cutting off Wilshire Boulevard and increasing MacArthur Park. We talked about it the last few days. Norm Langer meeting with the mayor. You'll never believe who ran into Langer's Deli.
Leah Remini.
You're cold. You're cold. But keep the guesses coming. I'll have the story next.
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. On Demand from KFI AM 640.
Miley Cyrus. Wow. Who's she with now? Who's she dating? Stafouche, do you follow that? The romantic travails of all of these various pop stars?
Isn't she? I think she's with Thor, the guy that played Thor.
Is that right?
I think so.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if she's still with him.
No, Thor is married, but she's dating Max
Oh, there you
Morondo.
go.
Wasn't she dating Hemsworth, the other
She
brother?
was dating the other one.
Oh, strong.
Thor light.
Very strong. You get all the power of Thor without all the paparazzi. Yeah. Very well done. It's KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere in the iHeartRadio app. Mark Thompson here for Tim Conway Jr. The Langer's Deli controversy that has sort of unfolded for a while, but this week there was a crescendo, you know. You got that Norm Langer and the mayor meeting. And Norm Langer's position is simple. Too much crime in MacArthur Park, and it's spilling over into my business, and this area needs a cleanup. It needs a physical cleanup, and it needs more police patrol, and it needs essentially a setup that will make people feel secure down here. And then that spills over into other policies like expanding MacArthur Park, cutting off Wilshire Boulevard, all of that. So Langer's essential position was, well, if you do that, all you're doing is expanding a lot of the bad stuff that exists in MacArthur Park by making MacArthur Park bigger. Great if you want to do something, but why don't you clean up MacArthur Park first, reduce the crime threat that exists now, and then you can do your increasing the size of the park stuff. So this is essentially that. So it's against that backdrop that he met with the mayor. And now, after all of that, and Langer's Deli, he was talking about closing it. So, you know, things don't clean up down here. We can't continue because my customers have to feel secure. So yesterday, around 1:30 in the afternoon, and you know, that place is packed for lunch, Langer's. A woman runs in. She was fleeing an assailant. She was assaulted and robbed near Langer's Deli on Alvarado. The assailant took a chain from her, according to the cops. She was on the way to meet her daughter at a store when she's confronted by this guy near MacArthur Park. And she fights the guy off. Both of them fall to the ground. The attacker runs off with the necklace. And the woman, walking by the deli in distress, crying, talking on the phone, trying to get some attention. The customer noticed her and said, come into the restaurant, come into Langer's to calm down. So she goes into Langer's and sits at a table in the corner, and a deli employee helped her, calmed her down, gave her water while they waited for the cops to arrive. He said, Norm Langer did, we've never seen anything like this before in here. My customers, for all intents and purposes, are safe coming from the parking lot. There was somebody who was eating at Langer's at the time who actually posted a photo of the woman at the restaurant and incorrectly said, hey, the robbery happened inside the deli, but that's not what happened. It happened outside, and she actually ran into the deli or walked into the deli to get away. So weird that this happens on the very week that Langers is very much in the news, and Norm Langer literally met with the mayor to talk about the future of MacArthur Park. Pretty wild. And that is a to-be-continued situation, because obviously the mayor's wanting to cut off Wilshire and expand MacArthur Park, but that is going to have to accompany a plan to make the MacArthur Park area and that entire area more secure. There's a new COVID vaccine. I know. It's fresh. It still has the new smell. It's fresh out of the lab today.
Juan Velasquez rolled up his sleeves for the flu shot as Maria of Huntington Park is getting the new COVID vaccine. What they don't realize is that they can save time and get them together.
The CDC actually confirmed that it's safe to get both.
CVS pharmacist and district leader Alexi He says, in terms of side effects, it's nice to get them both out of the way at the same time.
I had a little bit of arm soreness, but I was still able to go to the gym. I was still able to be physically active. This new updated formulation of the COVID vaccine is actually targeting the KP2 strain.
Unlike the flu vaccine, you can get boosters of the seasonal COVID shot as long as it's been at least 2 months since your last injection and a few months since your last infection.
If you just had COVID, your body actually still has immunity for about 3 months.
Yeah, that's my brag. I just had it 6 weeks ago. Not even, right? Within the last month, I've had COVID. So I can... I can peacock about it for about 2 more months, then I got to go get the vax.
So it's recommended after 3 months, if you had COVID, to now get the vaccine.
What if you want to go traveling in December? If you get it now, can you go ahead and get it before you get on the plane?
I would get it at least 2 weeks before traveling, just to make sure that the vaccine is fully effective.
But if you're eligible right now, experts say don't wait, because we're in between the end of the summer COVID surge and the traditional winter wave of cold and flu.
And plus, you got that flirt. The new variant is called Flirt.
That's the old variant.
Oh, there's a newer?
Yes, more contagious. Yeah, the first reported cases came from Germany. It's called the XEC. I don't know if they say it as a name, but it's the XEC variant.
Wow. The Mercedes-Benz of variants right off of the factory floor in Germany.
Far more contagious than the Flirt, which has been just wrecking the place.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one. I think I got Flirt. And
yeah, you did.
Well, I wonder if now I'm susceptible because maybe I had the last variant. This new variant could swim past my
I'm sorry?
Could swim past my immunity is what I'm trying to is the word I was looking for. My immune system. Anyway, leave me out of it. COVID vaccines, brand new, are available at a pharmacy near you.
The goal is to really make sure we're preventing serious outcomes such as hospitalization and death.
Even though the CDC Bridge program has ended, the Department of Health and Human Services says COVID-19 vaccines are 100% free for people living in the U.S. You can go to vaccines.gov to find a provider near you, even if you don't have insurance. And if you did want to pay out of pocket, the cash price is $200.
Yikes. Well, I tell you what's not absolutely free in the U.S. is the COVID tests. Because every time we have sniffles in my house, we go get COVID tests. So now we have a bunch of them in the cupboard, and they're not cheap. I mean, the good ones aren't cheap. Yeah. Anyway, congratulations on the new COVID vaccine if you just got it. The updated COVID-19 vaccine now available at pharmacies across Southern California.
You know, kind of like what you were saying about getting the new ones now. The health officials been saying that September and October are obviously the best times to get them. But if you can wait a little bit, like further into October, you got a better chance of being covered as we get into the holiday seasons around December. It'll still be stronger in you.
Oh, yeah. Good. Yeah, timing is everything on this. And you got to factor in your travel plans, too, because you're in all those congregate settings in airports and airplanes and
holiday parties. And
yeah. There's a lot to think about when you're thinking about your COVID future. But I get that flu vaccine every year, So when the whole vax controversy hit, I'm like, no, I don't know. I get the flu vaccine every year. I don't know whether it works or not, but
never gotten the flu vaccine.
Yeah, well, there you go. That's the yin and the yang. That's why we love each other. When we come back, you'll never believe and you'll never forget what they found at the Boar's Head facility. There was that big recall of the deli meat. And wow, when you hear what they found at the facility, you'll understand why there was a recall.
A boar!
You're listening to Tim Conway Jr. on demand from KFI AM 640.
Mark Thompson for Tim Conway Jr. Stafouche is working the tunes. He's, what do they call it, a sound engineer? You call it sound design. I actually really like that.
I'll take it.
Yeah. But your tunes have been on point today. And do they still say on point?
They sure do.
Okay. I've got to, once in a while, sort of check my phraseology to see if some of what I'm saying is still cool. Most of what I'm saying is not cool. And, you know, it's weird. I'm going to share this with you, Stafouche, particularly because you're a guy who's still cool.
Oh, okay.
You kind of have to stay cool because it just happens that one day you wake up and you're not cool anymore. And nothing you say is cool. And, you know, it as you get older, and there are exceptions. And I think you might actually be an exception. I think Crozier's kind of got one foot in being an exception because, you know, when you have kids, too, they sort of keep you hipper. They keep you a little more connected to what's going on in pop culture.
Oh, yeah, I would know nothing about K-pop if it weren't for my daughter.
And so, I mean, there it is, you know.
Yeah, I can see that.
And you get somebody like Clive Davis, you know, like the incredibly legendary music person. And if you're in music, I feel like you're automatically, if you're still connected to the music industry, getting that. It's far easier to kind of stay connected to that world. Because I feel like the music world is where a lot of that stuff happens. The hipness, you know, the trends, cultural trends come out of the music business, I think, a lot of the time. But anyway, I mad respect. And your tunes are on point, sir. So
Thank you.
Recall that hit the Boar's Head meat world was substantial. I mean, they recalled a ton of meat. And Boar's Head is the high-end stuff. You know, you go into the store, you order at the Boar's Head, that's costing you more. You presume that everything at the Boar's Head facility is going to be super clean, super to code, and everything's going to be even a cut above. You know, it's the first class between, you know, first class and coach when it comes to ordering deli meat. Well, the facility is a mess.
Mold and mildew near hand-washing sinks, flies near a vat of pickles, ants traveling down a wall. Just a few of the violations inspectors found at a Virginia plant tied to the largest listeria outbreak in more than a decade. And the CDC now says at least 9 people have died. Dozens more have been hospitalized. CBS News correspondent Elaine Quijano is following the latest for us. Elaine, pretty disturbing. What else did inspectors find there, and how is the company responding?
Yeah, eye-opening indeed. Colleague Alex Tin out of Washington has been probing what happened at that Jarrett, Virginia plant ahead of the listeria outbreak. And newly released records obtained by him for CBS News show that U.S. Department of Agriculture inspectors, in addition to what you mentioned, also discovered things like a number of issues with leaking and pooling water. A puddle found to have, quote, green algal growth inside and condensation that was found to be dripping over product being held. A number of records, as you mentioned, discussed the sighting of insects in and around deli meats, including one instance that prompted the agency to tag more than 980 pounds of ham in a smokehouse hallway.
What? Oh, my God.
Pounds of ham.
How many pounds of ham did she say?
More than 980 pounds of ham in a smokehouse hallway to be retained for an investigation. All in all, we are talking about nearly 70, so 69 violations documented according to this newly obtained set of information that Alex Tin was able to get.
Well, here's the story on this and why it's so serious. I mean, it affected a ton of people. This isn't like some, you know, sometimes they issue a recall and it has yet to affect anyone. But this was the biggest outbreak of listeria, I think, since the early 2000s. It's involved 57 hospitalizations in 18 states. At least 9 people have died from this stuff. South Carolina, Illinois, New Jersey, Virginia, Florida, Tennessee, New Mexico, and New York. That's where people were killed. But obviously, the Boar's Head meat distribution extends well beyond that. But when you hear this laundry list of stuff that's going on at their factory, it's no wonder.
And what it paints is a picture of numerous kinds of instances with cleanliness issues at that Jarrett, Virginia plant. Now, Boar's Head, as a result of this listeria outbreak, has recalled more than 7 million pounds of deli meat. And in a statement, a spokesperson said, quote,
how many pounds?
More than 7 million pounds of deli meat. And
that is a lot of deli meat. 7 million pounds corrupted by everything that we've heard out of that factory. It's no wonder that this listeria outbreak was as widespread as it was.
More than 7 million pounds of deli meat. And in a statement, a spokesperson said, quote, food safety is our absolute priority.
Yeah, I can tell. Clearly, food safety is your absolute priority.
Food safety is our absolute priority.
I mean, they found it was a huge petri dish, this deli production factory. Unbelievable. I mean, what they have detailed are things so grotesque that just to listen to them makes you sick. To actually consume the meat with mold and leaks of algal growth and insects. I mean, people are eating this stuff. It's no wonder. I'm sorry, but the statement that you care about safety and cleanliness at your factory, that doesn't exactly track with recent history.
Food safety is our absolute priority, adding that the team immediately addressed all issues that inspectors raised. But one open question is whether or not Boar's...
all issues that inspectors raised, they raised 69 different things that were going on there. Everything from insects to algal growth to mold. I'd say that the company acted responsibly were it not for the fact that 9 people died. I mean, what choice do you have at that point?
But one open question is whether or not Boar's Head is going to be facing any kind of penalties from the USDA for repeat issues. At this point, we have posed that question to USDA officials. We are waiting to hear back. But according to reports published by USDA itself, so far, there have not been any records of enforcement actions taken against the company in the past year. And Lindsay, that is the same time frame approximately where these nearly 70, so 69 violations have been discovered.
Well, here is what is going to happen. They are going to have civil suits, which is an awfully poor way to actually hold the company responsible. But they will get civil suits that will be launched by the families of the 9 victims and others who are sickened by this. But as I say, it's sadly in America one of the few ways that you can get some kind of justice is you hold the feet of the company to the fire legally, but it takes forever to do it, and it takes money to do it, and it doesn't bring back those people who were, this is obscene what was going on in these plants. Anyway, that's the latest, though. Inspectors with dozens of violations at this Boar's Head plant in Virginia. And that's the thing that they link to this nationwide recall of deli meats. So, when we come back, all states get some good news for them, bad news for us. Mark Thompson here for Tim Conway Jr. on KFI AM 640. We're live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Conway Show on demand on the iHeartRadio app. Now, you can always hear us live on KFI AM 640, 4 to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and anytime on demand on the iHeartRadio app.